The Handmaid's Tale Season 5 Episode 5 Ending Explained. Episode 5 of the show was titled Fairytale, and it was quite clear as to why it adopted that name as the episode went on. Reminiscing, memories, and mirroring behaviours were at the core of this episode, and it made for a real interesting watch. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from episode 5 of the show. So let's get into it. Here is The Handmaid's Tale Season 5 Episode 5 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Episode 5 of the show, titled Fairytale, at its core was focused on the progression of the growth of Gilead's teachings and ways, along with Luke and June's yearning to find their daughter Hannah and to get her out of Gilead. We saw lots of flashbacks throughout the episode, as it supported the direction in which the show was going in, and the positioning of some of the characters as they progressed throughout the season. I'm going to break this video down by the main character arcs that we had feature in the episode. June and Luke. June and Luke started the episode and they also finished it. It started with a dream that June was having about Hannah, and it was of a time where they went to an aquarium. Jellyfish are symbolic of survival, movement, instinct, and simplicity, so I thought it was an interesting choice to have them looking upon a jellyfish tank, due to the fact that both June and Hannah would have been channeling those traits in order to survive. We saw that June and Luke were preparing to go across the border into Gilead to find out some information about the place where they house the individuals that are training to be the wives of Gilead, which is the program that their daughter Hannah is in. It was a journey that came with its risks, but following Luke changing his mindset following the conversation with Serena in the center last week, he was just as determined to do anything, no matter what the cost was, just like June. And we saw a line supporting this when he stated that he's not just going to wait for Hannah to pop up on the TV again. They received a map that would guide them to an individual who was nameless, who was going to be the person that would give them all of the information that they needed. This was when we saw another batch of flashbacks occur. It was when June and Luke were trying to hide away back at the start of the show, and when they originally got separated from Hannah. Being in the same environment was something that triggered this. Once they met the individual that they were planning on meeting, we saw that he was prepared to share his name with them. His name was Jaedon, and he didn't hold the same mindset as most of Gilead. He was an individual who went against the grain and believed that people should be able to do as they pleased, rather than following strict rules. We saw that he wasn't exposed to the outside world when Luke sang the song Let's Stay Together, and he thought that Luke actually wrote the song. So it's interesting to see a break in the divide in Gilead and there being alternative views. With Luke singing the song Let's Stay Together, it showed us that despite the fact that he was singing a song for the purpose of entertainment, you could see that the words were coming from the heart and the lyrics held significant meaning to what their situation was. As they left in the darkness of night, we saw that Jaedon trod on a landmine and set it off, alerting other guards in the area. This led to an epic chase where they were on the verge of making it out, but both June and Luke were captured, separated, and taken off into different directions. Whilst this was happening, we also saw flashbacks to when June was first trying to evade with Hannah, showing the present nature that it holds in June's mind, and the core reason as to why she's doing what she's doing. We know the lack of remorse that Gilead holds, and with the current opinion of June being so low and her being a problem for the commanders, this would be the perfect opportunity to take her out, and to be able to eradicate what could only be described as their biggest headache. This is the perfect situation for those in Gilead, and I doubt they could have imagined a better scenario even if they'd tried. Serena. Serena is a character that I feel has been going on a real journey in Season 5 of the show. In this episode specifically, we saw her mirror behaviours to that of a handmaid, in the fact that she's staying with the Wheelers and she's essentially trapped there, not able to leave the grounds even though she's not technically a prisoner. The fact that a flashback of her selecting a handmaid was present immediately after her wanting to open the gate showed the way that she felt as though she was being treated, especially with the way that Commander Lawrence and Putnam were treating her in overlooking all of her ideas and suggestions. And even then, when agreeing with them, they were looking to take the credit. We're also seeing the way that she's being treated by Mrs. Wheeler in her being obsessed with the child that she's going to give birth to. And also the way that Mr. Wheeler is giving her things to take in order to keep the pregnancy as smooth as possible. The activity that's occurring is very suspicious, and it leads me to believe that all is not as it seems. I feel we're also seeing Serena question the ways of Gilead slightly, with the looks that she was emitting, especially when Mrs. Wheeler said to her that people outside of Gilead that were resisting were small-minded, selfish people. I feel we're seeing her detach ever so slightly, Not enough for it to be apparent, but I do feel as though her being stuck inside of the Wheelers, it could lead her mind to wander even more. Serena also had her own flashbacks occurring during the episode. One was when she was selecting a handmaid, which was when she was discussing with Aunt Lydia, which is where the whole journey almost began. And one of where we saw her in a facility where the children of Gilead were being kept, and she waved at Hannah as she was sitting inside one of the rooms. I think Serena is going on a journey of questioning and self-doubt and not really knowing her place ever since her husband died, but I feel we will see her go all in on one as the next episode arrives. I thought episode 5 of the show was okay. It felt like a little bit of a slow burner, with the main focus really only being on Serena, June and Luke. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of Nick, but I imagine he's keeping his head low. And I would have also liked to have seen more of the Handmaids and Aunt Lydia looking to alter the regime that she has in place, despite the very idea being declined. As well, we've not seen much of Esther and Janine since the chocolate incident, so there's still a lot to see outside of the main arc. With only 5 episodes left until the end of the season, I do feel as though the pacing is going to have to increase in order for the show to wrap up in a natural way. That would be my main critique with the season so far. It feels quite 1v1, and the pacing is quite slow. Considering the episodes have a shorter runtime than most shows in being 45 minutes, it does often feel as though we could do with an extra 10 minutes in the episode to fill the weight of what has occurred and allow more time for it to breathe. With both Luke and June now being captured, and with it seeming like there's quite literally no way out for them, I'm interested to see how and if they'll make it out of the prison that they're likely going to be kept in. The only positive of them being taken into Gilead is that in terms of geographical location, they'll be the closest they've been to Hannah for the first time in a long while. With Commander Lawrence and Nick both being close to June too, I'm interested to see if they'll play a part in being able to get her out. I imagine the stick that contained all of the information that they were seeking is also going to be found on them, which will most probably mean that Jaedon's going to be killed by the authorities. That's my guess anyway. As always, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So, there you have it, The Handmaid's Tale Season 5 Episode 5 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of episode 5? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.